Hey, welcome to Leadership Pathway. My name is Dave Miller. I am thrilled to host Grace Ann Miller. No relation to this Miller, I don't think.
No, I don't think so
You
either.
never know, though.
Yeah.
Maybe. Grace Ann, introduce yourself. Who are you? Where are you? What do you do?
Yeah. So, hi, I'm Grace Ann, Grace or Grace Ann. I'm from the South, so of course I have a double name. Uh, and I'm in Conyers, Georgia, which is about 20-30 minutes outside of Atlanta.
How
And I am currently the full-time worship minister on staff at Crosspoint Christian Church.
about that?
Yeah.
I want to hear the story, and I think it's going to be super encouraging to a lot of people.
Yeah, I'm
Go back
excited to
to
share
go back to high school. Who were you in high school? Were you a singer, arts person? Were you a band person?
through and
Athlete?
through. I
Okay.
was fully involved in every chorus class I could possibly be in, every musical theater class I could possibly be in. I took some like career pathways. I also was a competitive swimmer.
Oh,
I was like, if you could do it, I was gonna, rack up my accolades in high school.
what's your personality test say about that? Are you an overachiever? What are you? Do you know?
I know my Enneagram.
What's your Enneagram?
I'm a type 7 wing 6.
So your party's the seven, right? And
Yes.
the
Yeah.
six is the thinker,
Yeah.
analyzer.
Yes,
You
I
ever
think so.
overthink things?
Always. Overthinking I is my middle name.
Nice. Did you grow up in a Christian home?
Yes, very
Okay.
much so. I've actually gone to Cross Point my entire life. Like I've grown up here. My parents have gone here forever.
Oh
My
wow.
mom actually went to this church in when she was in middle school.
Oh my gosh.
Um, so it's really exciting because this church holds such a like special place for me and my family. And so
We're gonna get there, but sometimes Grace Ann, when people work at their home church, it doesn't work out. It's like they can't shake they all still think I'm a fifth grader. They won't follow. Have you experienced any of that?
that was one of my biggest, like, I don't want to say hesitations, but one of my biggest holdups when I did
Sure.
start my residency at
Sure.
Crosspoint, is the fear of, are people going to take me
Yeah.
seriously?
Right.
Because I believe I was 19 going into my residency, maybe 20.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm also young, like
Okay. Yeah.
freshly in
Sure.
the middle of college.
Yeah.
I'm like, are these people going to take me serious? But
Right.
You know, never did I ever feel like I was like I don't know. I just have never had that feeling of,
Okay.
oh, well, you're just Grace. Like we know you, you
Yes.
know?
Very
So
good. Your
yeah.
parents still there?
Yeah, they are.
How about that?
I
Standing up
know.
front, leading worship, and your folks are sitting in there.
My mom is actually on the worship team, so
Is
that
she,
makes it a lot of fun.
is she
Yeah.
the drummer?
She wishes. No, she is keys and piano and vocalist. She's a phenomenal musician.
Wow, how
So
about that? Okay,
mhm.
back to the story. Now
Yeah.
back to the story. So you're high school, you're singing, you're doing all the musical theater things. Was it a big school?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean decently big. It
Okay.
was I want to say there was anywhere from 400 to
Okay.
600 in my graduating class.
Oh, graduating class.
I
All
was in
right.
the top 10%, I would just like to say.
Say.
Not top 10, but
I,
top 10%.
I I've been in I've been lumped into some groups, but it never starts with top. It's always like, but anyway, so big enough to do some musicals.
Yeah.
What's your favorite part? Do you ever go for the big
Wow.
role?
Yeah, actually, yes. My favorite role I was ever cast in is I was Elle Woods in Legally Blonde.
Okay.
So it's also one of my favorite musicals.
So you're a
Um,
singer, a dancer? Were you a dancer? Or you just kind of get by on the dance stuff?
I kind of just get
Yeah,
by,
right.
it was never my strength.
Sure.
And I kind of realized that about my sophomore year of high school, and I
Yeah.
was like, you know what? Because before I was like musical theater,
Right.
I'm gonna be
Okay.
on Broadway.
Okay.
But then I realized the dancing part wasn't really me.
Okay.
Uh, And I actually developed a love for classical music and
Right.
actually
Yeah, I want to hear about
started
this.
stepping into the realm of opera because it was all the singing and all the acting, but with minimal dancing.
Minimal dancing.
Yeah.
Okay, I have known one other worship leader who's also an opera person.
Really?
One besides you. Because, as you would imagine, oh, wait, let's go back to the story. So you're in high school,
Okay.
you're
Yeah.
graduating, you're like, I'm gonna go. Where are you going? What did you consider in that big leap right there?
Yeah, I mean, my honestly, my two choices, I only applied to four schools and they were
Okay.
very much so reach schools. But my top two was between Boston Conservatory and University of Georgia.
Okay.
Um, I ended up my senior year getting waitlisted at UGA, which was
Okay.
devastating to me because my family's also alumni there. Like,
Ooh.
it's just, like it's just, especially in the South, you have such these deep-rooted traditions.
Heck yeah.
Um, and so when I got that, waitlist, I thought my world was over. And I didn't think anything was going to go further with Boston Conservatory because
Okay.
with my specific degree, it was a 4% acceptance rate.
Wow.
But I ended up getting the acceptance from the school in Boston. So I
Okay.
get out of high school and I moved to Boston I was 18.
18, moved to Boston to study voice.
Yes, classical opera performance.
And you're thinking, I'm gonna be an opera singer.
Yeah, I was going to go straight to the Met in my mind.
Grace, how many? We went to the symphony 2 weeks ago here, bought the
Uh-huh.
tickets late, sat on the front row. So if you've ever been to the symphony, you know that's not necessarily a great seat, but I
Yeah,
was
but it's
looking
a
up.
cool seat.
It's a cool seat. I got to see things I had never, usually you try to sit back a bit and hear. But anyway, so I'm sitting there and I'm like, how many oboe? What is that is that person? They're full time. This is Denver. It's probably top 20. I mean,
Mhm.
not like Cincinnati
Yeah.
or New York or major. So I'm just like, how many oboe players are there in America? And I'm wondering, as you went to Boston to study opera, the practical people in your life, which we hate these people when we're going through it, because they're like, so what are you going to study? And no matter what you say, if you have an answer, the follow up is, well, what are you going to do with that degree? I was just with someone and they're going to go study gerontology. I'm like, well, so what do you do with I just totally I did the dad question. What was what were the people around you that annoyed you? You remember any of those conversations? What were they asked? What were you thinking this was heading towards?
I mean, a lot of, with you just saying, oh, I'm going to study voice performance, they're
Okay.
like, okay, cool. People don't really have much of a response because they're just like, what can you do with that degree,
Yeah,
you
right.
know? But honestly, every single time I was asked it, my answer was always, you know what, if I can just sing and be able to like do that, like that's what I want to do because at the end of the day, like that is the gifts that God has placed,
Sure.
in my life and I like it's at his feet.
Yeah, sure.
And so for me, like I had dreams, I have dreams, I have
Yeah,
aspirations,
yeah.
but at the end of the day, for me, that was just what I decided was my stepping stone because I
Okay.
wanted to cultivate what God had given me. I had a great applied professor, like a voice teacher,
Uh-huh.
that I studied with before I moved to Boston,
Okay.
who um, was such a light in my life, very, you know, grounded Christian man,
How about that?
um, phenomenal. And that is, I mean, he's really the biggest reason that I was like, you know what? God has given me a gift to cultivate,
Huh.
and I'm going to go on the journey to cultivate it.
So you go to Boston,
I go
freshman
to Boston.
year. Did it go well?
I was completely online
You
for
were
COVID.
online studying
Mhm.
voice, so you're living at home.
I lived at home from October to December, and then I moved to Boston in January.
Okay, gotcha. All right.
Yeah.
Why did you start online? I'm just curious. Why did you start online?
COVID. I was the middle, like the very beginning of the pandemic. Like my senior year,
Oh,
it was April, April 13th is when they told us that, we were going on spring break, that we'd be out for 2 weeks, and then 2 weeks turned 2 months.
and then
And
don't come back.
graduated online, and then
Oh,
I started college online. So
I
it,
remember COVID. Just kidding.
mhm.
What, how about that? So you were right in the middle of that. So you started
I was,
online, then you moved to Boston.
I did.
Liked it, loved it, hated it.
I loved Boston.
Okay.
I love the aspect of everything being so close together.
Yeah.
Like I could walk
Yeah.
down the street to a
Yep.
coffee shop a hundred
Yep.
feet away.
Yeah, right.
I could walk and I could go anywhere. I could hop on the train to go where I wanted. There
Yeah, sure.
was a Trader Joe's across the street,
Mhm.
and
Right.
in where I am in the South, there's not
Yeah.
many around us.
Yes.
Um, it's just everything was right there. If I wanted
Yeah.
to go see a Red Sox game, it was $9, and I bought the
Yeah, it's
ticket walking to the
nice.
stadium. It was a
Nice. So cool.
5-minute walk. So
Okay, so you finished your freshman year and then what? What'd you do? Did you come home?
I came home for the summer.
Okay.
I spent some time at home for the summer, and then I went right back up to
Went
Boston, and
back.
I moved into an actual apartment and not a dorm
Okay.
with one of my best friends.
Yeah. Sophomore year went well.
Sophomore year was great. However, I found out starting January of my sophomore year that it was very expensive for my parents,
Yes.
um, which I knew in the back of my mind. And I
Right.
was grateful that they were allowing me to attend this school, but on top of paying Boston rent, Boston utilities,
Yeah, sure.
paying for like school, paying for groceries, like
Yeah.
I worked a job, like I was constantly working when I was out of school, but it still wasn't enough.
Yeah.
It just it wasn't how it wasn't helping anybody.
Yeah.
Um,
Did you feel like as you began to contemplate or you were told or you thought about it and decide well, however that went down, who knows? But you come back home.
yeah.
Uh were you like, well, the dream's dead, or I guess I'm not gonna be a opera singer? What was your mindset through all that? Do you remember?
It was pretty terrible.
Yeah,
Because I am
you
an
bet.
overthinker,
Sure.
overanalyzer, my instant thought, I was very ashamed to be leaving my school because I
Yep.
worked so hard to get into it.
Yep.
Um, and I just, like I felt like people would judge me for leaving, that
Right.
uh, they would say that I wasn't good enough
Yep.
or
Yep.
have these opinions. And I really placed my truth in what other people thought during that time.
Sure.
Um, I don't want to say my faith was struggling. I've always been very rooted, but
Hmm.
also being in Boston, it was really the first time I had ever felt criticism for being Christian. So I was kind of in a very like
Yeah.
shaky place
Yeah.
where I was like, God, I trust what you're doing,
Yeah.
but at the same time, like, it, what's going on?
Yeah.
You know?
And
Um,
so he came down from heaven and handed you the playbook. It spelled out every step and how it was exactly going to go.
I mean,
No,
duh, it's called the Leadership Pathway
no,
Residency Guide.
no.
I'm
Right.
just kidding.
It's a cult. That's it. Leadership Alley. It's a cult. The books were left in the forest, found anyway. No, I mean, I'm just saying, like, you're driving home going, what is going on? I thought
Hmm.
God sent me to Boston. I thought God
Yep.
wanted me to be now I have to go tell all of these people that kind of raised their eyebrow when I said voice. They kind of were
Yeah.
like,
I
now I
actually,
got to go eat that crow.
I didn't even tell my friends that were in Boston, other than like my close circle. I didn't
Okay.
even tell them I was leaving Boston until
Mm,
that August when I went to move my stuff out.
yeah.
And like I ran into, because my whole class of it like people was only 10 people. And
Right.
I ran into a group of them and
Sure.
they were like, why haven't you started school with us? And I was like, well, actually, I don't go here anymore.
Yeah.
And so it was it was difficult. It was
Hmm.
scary. It was very, you know, like I said, it was a really shaky time of my life where, you know, there was just so much happening.
I've been, I just finished the Old Testament and a lot of these prophets, right? And they'll say, don't you remember when God, and they start telling the stories, walked
Hmm.
you out of Egypt and did the thing. And it's like they repeat themselves over. But I think that's why that in ancient times, right? It's like, hey, you got to remember, you thought you were dead going across the sea and it parted.
Mm,
Don't you trust that? That's the same God. So I think, Grace Ann, those of us that are a couple laps ahead of you, which is a kind way of saying are really old, we would say, yeah, you go through things in those formative years and then you remember years later sometimes. It's like, oh yeah, he showed me this once. I have no idea what's up, but maybe he does.
yeah.
Okay, so you come home junior year, sophomore of your junior year. What do you do?
What's crazy is, a month before my semester ended that past spring, I get a call from Curtis, who's now the, lead pastor of our church.
Yeah,
And he just calls me and he's like, "Hey, I know you're in Boston, but you came to mind. I've had this, residency program
how
kind
about
of
that?
like sat in front of me and
Yeah,
I want you to pilot it. Like I want
yeah,
you to drive it, like or try it out or
yeah,
whatever the right.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. And of course I gave him a very just, I am moving home, but let me think on it. Let me pray on it just
yeah.
because in my mind I still hadn't told myself I was going home.
Right.
Um, but I ended up moving home. I I called Curtis, I think 3 weeks after that, and I was like, let's do it.
How about that?
And then I moved home mid-April, and then I started my residency that July.
Some people would have said, well, we'll just sell the house. We'll just take the extra loans. We will steal the money. We will make it How did you know? How did you know to not do any of that? Or were those just not options, do you think, in that moment? Or
My parents have always supported everything I do, but they've
Mhm.
also been very realistic with me about what I
Sure,
do.
sure.
I honestly, I applaud my parents for the way that they have brought me up, brought me and my siblings up.
Yeah.
I knew what was going on in our family at the time, and it just it wasn't in there to pull the extra
Yeah.
money or.
Okay. Okay. So you say to Curtis, let's do it.
Yeah.
Fall of your junior year, you're going to school.
I actually waited. I took a
Waited.
gap semester
Okay.
because honestly, because I was so
That's right.
in my head that I was going to go back to Boston somehow, some way. I told my mom that I
Oh,
applied
interesting.
to transfer and I never did.
Oh, interesting.
So I told her, I was like, "Oh, I missed the application deadline. Like, sorry." And I came and I worked that first 6 months and I just stayed
Okay.
home. And
Okay.
then I actually, of course, decided to transfer in the spring.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, and I was really anxious reapplying to UGA as a transfer student because I was like, I got rejected the last time,
Yeah.
like with everything. And when I tell you, I was like 4.0 student. I
Yeah.
was, like I said,
Right.
accolades upon accolades,
Yeah.
varsity sport, like
Hmm.
all of it. And I got rejected my freshman year. So I was like, why would they take me
Right.
my junior
How
year,
about
you
that?
know? I
That's
also
interesting.
had to find somewhere to live. I met these three random girls online. Um, I was terrified to live with them.
Yeah.
Um, and I end up getting accepted into UGA.
Okay.
And that January, I moved in
How about that?
and turned out those girls weren't crazy and got me super plugged in churches up there.
Yeah.
They're all in my bridal party for my
Oh,
wedding this
fun.
spring.
Fun.
Um, but yeah,
What was your first couple of weeks like? You show up, now you're Grace Ann, the worship resident. Do you remember?
I was nervous. I was
Yeah.
very scared.
Sure.
I was just, a lot of it was kind of a blur because I was in such a weird place.
Right.
Um, that's me and Curtis will laugh about it now and we'll be like, man, that first month of residency, we both didn't know what was going
Yeah.
on.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, it was definitely learning for both of us.
Mm.
But I think it helps that me and him kind of like we had like a like we knew each other before this because we both have
Right.
grown up at Cross Point. I mean,
Yeah.
clearly he's 10 years older than me,
Yeah.
not uh, almost 10 years older than
Yeah.
me. Um, but like it I don't know. It was a weird time. Like that's the best way to
Yeah,
put it. But it was very good. He was very good about helping me learn the ropes because there
right,
was no worship minister on staff to
right,
teach me.
right. Which was
Hmm.
unusual.
Very unusual.
We normally don't do that. We had a
Yeah.
high trust in Curtis. I think at the time I thought he was a lot older than he is for some reason. But I remember it happening that he'd had a couple, I'm, hugely summarizing, but a couple of starts and stops with different worship people that they'd brought in.
Yeah.
And he's like, we're gonna have to grow what we need.
Hmm.
And so we uh, those early conversations, I'm like, I know we normally don't do this. Here's things we never do at Leadership Pathway.
That's
Put put someone in a residency that doesn't have a full-time boss in that area, right? No matter what area, worship, production, kids. So you
yeah.
strike one. And really, we've learned the senior pastor really can't be that involved
Yeah.
because it's so much. And Curtis was, of course, super involved in all
Yeah.
of it. Where was the, I always joke, well, not joke. I always tell people that are thinking about doing this, there's always a quit moment. There's a moment when the resident's like, okay, this has been fun. Maybe it's day 90, it might be month 15, I don't know. But there's this moment where they start questioning, they're not going to do this, they shouldn't keep going. There's something else. Did you have one of those?
I mean, not explicitly that I can remember, but there were a
Okay.
few times where I was like, this is a lot. I don't know if I can do this
Right.
because, I was juggling school and residency
Right.
at the same
Yep.
time.
Yep.
That came along, I ended up getting into a relationship in the middle of
Yeah.
it. And it felt
Yeah.
like all the plates were stacking up.
Yep.
And I didn't have, I- it was like there was just so much that I was having to catch up on or do.
Right.
And I don't like being a music student, especially me trying to graduate on time after
Yeah.
taking a semester off.
Yeah.
It felt like an ultra marathon,
Yeah. What
like
did
the
you What'd you wind up majoring in Georgia? Music?
voice performance.
Voice
Yeah.
performance.
And
Same thing.
I went back to the same applied professor that I studied with before I went to Boston.
Oh, how about that?
So I mean, he's one of the greatest people. His name is Gregory Broughton.
Oh, that's so cool.
Shout out to
Shout out
him.
to Greg.
Um, Phenomenal. He is someone who helped changed like my Christian walk in life and the way
Mm,
that I live it out.
yeah. So you graduated
I graduated
2 year before when was this? What
this
year?
past spring, actually.
25. Class of
Hmm.
25.
A year late, but nobody's counting.
So you were a resident technically for a year or two?
2 years
2 years, and you've been full time.
since my full-time start date was June 1st. Before that, so I finished my residency last July, and then
Yep.
since then I was on part-time.
Okay.
And then as soon as I graduated, the following month, I went full-time. I went through the
So,
whole interview process in front of
oh
the
yeah.
elders, all of it.
So you've been on the team 3 years. Is that right? 3.5 years.
Yes. Yeah.
That
Hmm.
means 200, a couple hundred services, 180 services,
A
a
lot of
couple of
services.
Christmases, a couple of Easters.
Yeah.
Give me the two or three things, the surprises. Give me the two or three things that you're like, I had no idea, like what I thought a worship minister does versus what are some of those things from your perspective?
Christmas is hard. The whole the whole month of December,
Yeah.
I understood in my head that
Hmm.
church people,
Hmm.
people who work at a church, like
Hmm.
that it's a pretty like busy month, but I don't
Yeah.
think I realized exactly how busy it gets.
Yeah.
Like I have been working on Christmas now since July,
Yeah.
and I finally have somewhat of an outline sitting right in front of my desk that I've been
Yeah.
working on.
Yeah.
Uh, you
Hear,
know,
hear. Do you do
that was
Christmas Eve services there?
mm, we
Yeah.
do. We do. If you think Christmas, we probably do
Yeah, right.
it.
Okay, so it's a lot of work. Number one,
Mm.
Christmas is hard. Subtopic, it's a lot. This is a lot of work. Okay, that's one thing. What else?
I I think how do I say this? I learned that I have a new skill just about every day.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So we're a very small staff.
Right.
There's four of us full
Yeah.
time.
Sure.
Two, yeah, four including me.
Okay.
Um, and then outside of that, we have two part-timers and a couple like people we outsource to.
Yeah.
And so with the staff that small, you kind of all have to share responsibilities. So
Right.
like I help teach a small group of high school girls on Wednesday
Yeah.
nights, or
Yeah.
being the worship minister, like having to learn the entire way a soundboard works, which
Right.
was something I didn't learn
Yeah.
before, or how Ableton works,
Yeah.
um how do I do this if
Yeah.
this thing happens,
Yeah.
or I've had to learn how to build because we build sets.
Yeah.
Um, Luckily I pride myself on being the oldest daughter, and so I'm I feel confident that I can do most things.
Yeah.
Um, but just I've learned that
It's a lot.
yeah,
So expect to be in a you've been in a learning mode, growth mode, and not just
always.
because of college.
Mhm.
Um, where do you think where do you think it's going for you? Like there are times when I'm like, are you more clear to, I'll ask someone in a coaching session, like draw a little line. Here's completely foggy. I have no idea what's going on. Here's complete clarity. Where were you when you started this process? Where are you today? Is it clearer today, or do you continue to like you're not sure what the next thing is? It's sort of all, it's just a different version of are you transferring? Are you moving home? Are you staying? You don't know. Are you finding clarity or is it still foggy?
I think definitely finding clarity,
Clarity?
looking at my life 3 years ago versus today,
Yeah.
like I I'm about to get married, like we're gonna settle here in Conyers.
Okay.
My plan is to stay at Cross Point
Yeah.
for until the Lord says not to,
Yeah.
which he clearly has said to.
Yeah.
Um, it's so crazy how you can see it shifting over time too. 3 years ago, I would say I was completely foggy.
Yeah.
Like, there was no chance of me being able to see what was ahead.
Right.
Um, because I had no clue. I thought I had
Right.
plans and then
Right.
they just
Yeah.
leave. But now being able to see like and learn, like, you can have goals, but don't set expectations for God to follow through.
That's
I
good.
might need to rephrase that.
Well,
But
Proverbs says a man makes his plans, but then God directs his steps. Like
yeah,
how do we get there from here? I'm not sure,
yeah,
but there's making plans and then there's being submitted daily.
yeah.
And
And that has been,
sometimes I get those backwards.
yeah, I
It's
mean,
daily. It's daily thing.
yeah, it is. And having to learn that was difficult. I'm still learning it every
Sure.
day,
Of
you
course.
know, but yeah.
What's what is what is difficult about the home church thing? If somebody's watching this and they're thinking about being at their, I mean, Paige on our team jokes, she says one size fits one. It's like, well, it's not right for everybody, but it worked for Grace Ann. But what would
Yeah.
you, if you're like, hey, if you're thinking about your home church, here's a couple things to be aware of.
Yeah. I think, of course, the positives outweigh the negatives to me.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even really say that there are negatives. However, I think that you need to go into it with the right mindset, you know?
Okay.
While, coming into it, I had probably more musical training than most people on the
Sure.
team.
Of
You
course.
have to go in there with a level head. Like, these are people that have watched you your whole life, have been
Yeah.
your mentors your whole life, and now
Yeah.
they're looking to you as a mentor. So you can't just step in and make a million changes.
Yeah. Right.
That's where the growth comes, that that church's DNA.
Mm-hmm.
You know where that church has been and you know where you want them to go. So instead of jumping in there and immediately saying, we're going to go 10 steps ahead, you're able to level with each person and say, let's walk step by step together. Like, this is the vision, and
Yeah.
I want to get there one way
Yeah.
or another.
Um, did this work because of Grace Ann, or did this work because of Curtis? He's probably watching.
He's actually not even here right now in the
I
building.
don't mean live. I mean someday, or
Oh,
he's sitting
oh,
in Atlanta's traffic listening to you. He's like, Grace Ann, you better. No, but seriously, serious question.
yeah. Um, I mean, honestly, I think it worked because of both of us. I
Okay.
think, that's where, again, the strength lies that we both know the DNA of this church and we
Yep.
see the power and the beauty
Yeah.
that lies within the church.
Yeah.
Um, that we were able to walk hand in hand and say, we're going to do this. We don't know what it's going to look like, but
No,
we know where we want it to go.
I know.
So,
Most of us that have led worship or played music, most of us would say we're a worse keyboard player, we're a worse guitar player, our vocal chops have they're worse. Maybe we were never in opera major, voice performance major, but wherever we're worse today because the only time we're doing those things is during a Thursday night rehearsal and a couple services on Sunday. Have you held on to the vocal thing since starting there? You still work at it?
I mean, yeah, I work at
Yeah.
it daily.
Yeah. That's
Singing
cool.
is, of course, I'm not in, classical lessons
Right.
anymore
Right.
but, singing is where I find joy,
Yeah.
and I'm really, I'm, I learned this when I started music school,
Yep.
it's really easy for the joy to get wrapped up in the business of it.
Yeah.
Um, Especially with something like music.
Sure.
It's a very difficult, I guess career is the
Yeah.
way to put it.
Sure.
It's really difficult to manage because as much as it is a hobby, it can be a career.
Yeah.
Um, so you have to find the joy outside of that. So I usually try and take, if I can, 5 to 10 minutes a day and
Okay.
just like go sit at a piano and
Yeah.
play
Right
any
on.
song I want without
Yeah.
any, holdups or like I don't no underlying motives of
Yeah.
I'm gonna try and do
Good
this
for you.
because we're doing it on Sunday.
What do you need to learn in the next 6 months? What's the challenge point to you right now?
Oh man, my words from the stage. I feel like I get so jumbled up in my head
Yep.
sometimes, which luckily, again, I go to a church where everybody knows me.
Sure. Sure.
So if I say it like the other Sunday, I was just overthinking and got my words jumbled up in my
Yeah.
head, and I was like, worship is nothing. And everybody laughs. And I'm like, oh my gosh, those words just came out of my mouth on a
Yeah.
Sunday morning on
Yeah.
a live stream. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but, you know, for me, like working on, planning the moments, but also sitting back and allowing God to work through the moments,
Wow.
you know, learning that I don't have to speak between pauses, learning that I don't have to be holding on so tight
Mm-hmm.
that, you know, it feels like you're just going through the motions
Yeah.
of a Sunday morning,
Yeah.
you know?
It's hard not to go through the motions.
It
You
is.
you do
It's,
anything 100 times, 150 times. It's
yeah.
like, okay, good morning and welcome to Cross Point. So glad you're here. Won't you stand and sing?
Hmm.
Creativity, like even in God's character, he's creative. Yet the sun does rise in the east. It's gravity pulls us to the earth at the same thing. It's the same rate every day, right?
Yeah.
So there's a predictability here, and even in his character of crazy animals and all the creation and all the creative part of his character, but there's a repetitive nature to these things. But it's hard to stay fresh when you're a human being doing that, leading.
Yeah.
But here's the 10,000 more.
Yeah.
Why not?
Exactly.
Um, Who's the next Grace Ann? Is there anybody sitting out there? You're looking out. You're like, I see that seventh grader. I used to be that girl sitting back there. Have you had any of those moments yet?
Kind of,
Yeah.
they've been kind of hard to
Yeah.
place for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I am actively looking and
Sure.
seeking and trying to figure it out, For a minute,
Listen,
it
well,
felt,
go ahead.
oh, go ahead. No, you
No, no,
got
no.
it. Oh, I was gonna say, for a minute, it felt never stagnant. Our team has always
Yeah.
grown and thrived. Like, even if it's not, oh, there's new people wanting to join
Yeah.
at every moment. Our team has constantly been growing in their musicality and their stewardship,
Yeah.
all of that. Um, but just like, a lot of the team has been the team for the last 10 to
Sure.
15 years. And
Yeah.
so, it's hard to look at, I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. That's probably a terrible answer to that question, but
Well, sometimes the next you maybe not even be at that church.
yeah,
You never know in that community. It might be somewhere.
exactly.
Listen, I remember it. What popped in my head, I was in probably ninth grade, was kind of coming back to playing, messing around with keyboards and all that stuff, trying to sing. And the new music minister at my church, who was the first guy I ever saw lead worship. I had seen a lot of people stand in a pulpit and wave their hand, but
Yeah.
in terms of like stand up there with a guitar on a Sunday night in those days, and I'm out in my driveway shooting hoops one summer, and I could see it's like a quarter of a mile the main road, and I knew his car. We didn't live far from the church. He drove by, and I'm shooting, and then he turns around and comes back, and he pulls up in the driveway, and he's like, Miller. I pass him the ball, and he shoots, and he like had a tie on, and he's sweating. We're playing one on one. It's really funny, and he's like, you ought to be. We had a teen choir. You ought to be in teen. We're going to do a tour next summer. It's going to be fun. We're going to go to up through Boston and the East Coast from Kentucky. And as he drove away, I was like, that guy's cool. Like, I want to be like that. You never know. I remember that, Grace Ann, like that was last week. And that was
Yeah.
a long time ago. And you just never know who you're having an impact on.
Yeah.
Now, maybe I never asked him, haven't talked to him in 20 years, but maybe he turned his car around and drove up in that driveway thinking, I'm going to get this. Maybe he had a purpose in that. I don't know that he did, other than just shoot some hoops. I know he had his own kids to get home to. So you never know. You
Yeah.
never know who you're having an impact on, and people are watching. People are watching. So it's kind of
Yeah.
cool. It's kind of cool to see where from opera singer, maybe opera singer, musical theater, COVID graduator to worship pastor at her home church. How about that?
Crazy.
I don't think I
I'll
knew
tell
a
you
lot of that
what.
story. I knew a little bit of it, but not all of it.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
It's pretty crazy. I'll tell you what. Me even 3 years ago would not have believed where I would be
Yeah.
today.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of people, they're like, I don't know if I can do this.
Hmm.
But they don't know that we all thought that. I can't do that. I remember
Yeah.
the Saturday night before the first Sunday morning, I was going to lead worship. And I've got the title, and I'm standing in the sanctuary, standing and singing on the mic, thinking, I should not be doing this. That imposter syndrome stuff.
It's pretty intense.
It's intense,
Yeah.
but it's sort of like the smart ones turn back, and the rest of us, we just take one more step. It's
Hmm.
just one more step. I believe you'll face many moments like that.
Yeah.
I still do, by the way. That never ends. Like, who am I to be stepping into this? So, kudos to you. And don't give up on the opera singing either.
Yeah.
Maybe who knows? Maybe someday.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for the time.
Yeah. Thank you.
It's great to talk.